It's been a while.
Yes, it's been a while to make a video together.
Yeah, it's nice. So cool.
We just want to share today something that we kind of learned with our experience with time, and that's about money, how to make money as twin flames on this journey, because I know that we are quite aware that many of you are experiencing difficulties. We also went that way, this path, and we know how hard it can be.
And with the crisis going on and everything, you really need to find out exactly what to do and how it will serve you and how to feel if this is the right thing. So
We hope this will help you somehow. We really are going to speak from our heart. We went through some hard times, and it has not been easy until we figure out what we really have to do.
it took us years.
Yes.
I mean, we are still discovering, but we kind of pinpoint what we have to do.
Yes, we are working better as a team, and that's probably the most important thing, to figure out how to work good as a team.
Like this video is a proof because we have to be together, right, to be able to do it.
Yep. You know, it takes us probably just a minute, each one of us, when we make videos separately, but when we make together, we have to coordinate, and just to start, it probably takes us about an hour.
And this is the best example that we can give, a real life example, because sometimes, you know, we can say what they can do and how to do, but they will find a better answer if we explain how we handle things, because they will see in the real life exactly as it is.
The number one thing that we feel for you to be able to work as a team is to figure out your strengths, but also your weaknesses individually. There's many ways you can do that, either through experience, which probably is the slowest way, but you can use something amazing that as twin flames you have, and it is that each one of you see each other's strengths and weaknesses much better than you will see it individually for yourself.
Yep. You will have to say basically what is your twin flame good at and what is serving your twin flame mostly and what is not. And you kind of know for yourself, but your partner will be able to read you like no one else can.
Exactly.
So this is you can cut down to the chase very quickly instead of just acknowledging yourself, trying to acknowledge. You cannot. It's very difficult. I mean, you think you can, but you're wasting time. Better to give this role to your partner and your partner to give it to you.
And you can just sit down and write down all this, like make a list if you have to. If it's difficult for you to visualize or to memorize stuff, we live in an anxious world right now, so memorizing is a challenge for everybody. I think it's beginning worse and worse with time. There's many factors contributing to this.
Ooh, it's too much disturbance in the air. Like, you're not alone. There's so many people. We live in buildings one on top of each other. There's it's each one minding its own business. We are not living properly as a whole, so it's tough. It's tough.
Right. The second thing is look around yourself. What are the people around you, the close ones, the ones that you love, that you vibrate with the most? What direction they're guiding you at? What are they pointing you that they want to hear from you? Andre made a poll for you a few days ago.
You're revealing who made the poll. Could be both of us.
Well, you are much better than me in the technology part, for example. I want to give you a true example with us. Sometimes I am better with the mental part, like the contents and stuff like this, but we both have abilities in both areas, and we can exchange each other. But it is true that you are much better at the technology part. You are the one maintaining our website, whatever websites we have, certain platforms. I'm better at other things.
You are better at processing the data that comes through us, whether it's with people or by distance or whatever, and also to envision where we should move next, because you can see the obstacles that are coming in the future. I can feel them, but I cannot see them, and you can see them, and I mean you can still feel them.
You can also,
It's just different.
yes, your inner gut is super strong. So if we have to go by the intuition of someone, it is you that we have to trust the most.
Even though
your gut is super strong.
I will see it very negatively, because that's just how I am built, but doesn't mean it is bad. It's actually, we have to see between the lines better, and that's where you come into place. You are more positive and you can give a brighter perspective from the weeds, you know. It's like that.
So look around, because some of these things we didn't even know about ourselves as a whole, the two of us together. It was friends, people that were coming to us, that have been helping us, different tools. We have been using many tools. We have been sharing with you the Horus, for example, app, but we also discovered the human design recently. We don't go deep in any of these, but we look into them as they are here to serve us, not us to serve them, to become their slaves. So any of these knowledges, systems, apps, whatever we use, we take a certain part of it and we combine all our knowledge. Also, we use our intuition, the energy healing that we started with from the very beginning. It really is a big combination of everything.
Whatever you do, you are still in the matrix, regardless how good you are and stuff like this. And even if you are having a good life, you're still in the matrix. You're still prone to obstacles, many obstacles. So that's why we use such tools. And you also have your own tools. We don't know what you're using. Maybe you're using good tools as well to find out who you are and what you have to do and how to navigate, because we want to reduce as much these obstacles, because our mission and your mission is very simple, but so many obstacles makes it so complicated. But life is not complicated. I mean, if life includes a matrix, it is complicated. If it doesn't, it's not.
We are here to learn to swim in between. You actually have this opportunity to a very big extent with your twin flame. It is just to figure out where are the points where you match, because if you imagine the two hands, that's how you are with your twin flame. You match perfectly like this. But if you are trying to match in this way, you will never be able to, and you will always be hitting against each other.
Exactly.
Like a wall. And this will affect not just your financial life, but it will affect any area of your life. Like I said, in this respect, it is useful sometimes to trust someone else, maybe do a reading for you, or a visual, or a friend, how they see you from the outside. Look into their perspective as well, what they have for you, because the truth is somewhere in between. We are able to see ourselves to a certain extent. Some people can do it better, others not as good, but when it involves already two people together, it makes it even more difficult. So the people around you will be probably the best ones to give you this guidance as a whole, the two of you together, which direction to go.
You will be having people telling you how good you are at some things, which are actually not very good for your partner. So you also need to understand this, because not everything that you're good at your partner is, and she might not. So just use this information as like, okay, I have some things I am good and she also, so we can go in this road. And it can be anything. I don't know what you can do, but you are you know what you can do, and your twin flame too. So you can have a peaceful conversation from time to time about this and see what people are needing on earth mostly and go from there, for example.
Exactly. The third thing is you need to feel satisfied, both of
Exactly.
you, in whatever
This
you're
is very
doing.
important.
And satisfaction doesn't just come from the amount of money made. Satisfaction comes from the heart.
Yes.
Most of all.
You need to feel very happy and in love with what you're doing as well.
Exactly. If you are not vibrating like 100% with what you have to do, don't go for it at all. Don't waste your time. You are going to end up in a drama eventually. Sooner or later it will come to the surface.
Remember, this is just a side walk, okay? It's not your main, but if it becomes your main and you're enjoying it, by all means go for it, because it's like a win-win, because we have to stay here on earth, you know, doing such things. And if this is able to become your life, and instead of like a sidewalk, then you can thrive on it. It's amazing.
And probably the most important thing we realized is making money is essential in this matrix. Till we are here, we came to experience that also as a part of it. However, we don't need to become slaves to the idea of making money. This is where people fail. Most of them. They become slaves, and the more they make, the more they want.
There's also the other way around. The less you have, the more you want to run away from it, because money is evil. This is not good as well.
Exactly.
Because the objects and money, they are the same. It's just the perception that makes it
Yeah,
different.
there's many other systems, and we already are practicing some of them, you know. For example, going back like it was in the ancient times, exchanging things. I do all the time with the flowers, for example, and plants that we want to grow, interesting kinds, especially heirloom seeds and stuff like this. Most of the times that's how we find them. We found several groups or friends and families, and we just exchange all the time. You don't have to pay for it. We think it's for free, but this is not. You're also giving. And this is the same thing, like giving money. It's just a different type of mentality and different type of setup. And actually this gives you even more, bigger satisfaction this way. So there's many ways out there of energy exchange. Some of them are closer to the heart, some are closer to the head. But the most important is don't become slaves to any of them.
Yep.
Because this is also it's still a way of trading, even if it is just energy exchange. And you can also become addicted to this, and you can become a slave to that as well.
Yes. Well, you have to find the middle road. It's not difficult, because if you're supporting each other, the one can wake up the other one, like, hey, wake up, what is this? You know, that's why it's important to do it together, because if you're separately doing, the other will not understand what you're doing, and you're not understand what she's doing or he's doing, and it's just gonna come confusion afterwards. If you're doing the same thing, both of you, it's very easy to maintain this difference.
I came up with something else just now, and it's about the addiction as well. You have to see what your addictions are. Addiction is not necessarily just you know, the negative things we have been seeing, like drinking, smoking, or whatever. There's many ways we can become addicted to things. We can become addicted to following a certain diet, a lifestyle that we consider as healthy. But just the fact that we get addicted to it, it already makes it not healthy.
Yes.
So work on your addictions as well, because this will interfere, no matter what, your connection with your twin flame. We already went this way, and we know very well what it feels. We can make a separate video specifically on addictions, because it is something very big nowadays, I feel.
And there's a thing I realized when you were speaking, matrix, manna, you know, the manna in the Bible is when God releases like the white bread to the people, and money, matrix, manna, money. It's like you're here, that's it. Money is the main language. If you don't speak this main language, if you don't understand it, you know.
I think you're very correct.
Yeah.
And that's Mother Earth, the feminine energy. And there's something very interesting about this coming from the lower astral, but maybe we'll make a video for the members.
Yes, we will.
On this. More on our membership part.
Yes, to join is in the description below. For
Yes,
Telegram members or YouTube members is the same.
Lots of love.
Lots of love. Ciao, ciao.